So today we're looking at the Henry X Model 44 mag lever gun. This is going to be kind of an interesting review. It's kind of a love-hate relationship with this rifle, and there's going to be a lot of ups and downs and pros and cons I'm going to talk about, so I encourage you to watch the whole thing because this one is going to be complicated. Let's get into it, shall we? Alright, here we are on the bench, and this is kind of Henry's answer to the new fad that's kind of been going around the past few years of the modern tactical lever gun. I know some people like it, some people hate it, some people think it's, Satan's work, some people like it. I like the idea. I like the idea of taking a proven design and making it basically able to accept modern accessories and be more practical. So let's go over the features of this gun, and when I get to certain features that I've had issues with, I will talk about them. So, gun has a 17-inch barrel, 7+1. It is all plastic furniture, which it's a shame because for the price it would have been neat to see like laminated wood or something like that, but they went all plastic. I will say one of the nice things about the stock is, I don't know how well it shows, they put a really nice thick rubber butt pad on, so it really does help reduce or eliminate just about any recoil you would feel into your shoulder, because 44 mag, while it's not terribly nasty, can have a little bit of a thump to it if you're running some heavy stuff. So all plastic furniture. The whole gun is black, like everything on the gun is black, which is again kind of a nice look. I know some people like, again, the wood and the stainless and bluing. Everything on this is black. Now this is a little bit shiny because it's coated with ballistol, but once it dries off, it's an all, like this is kind of a flat black. The barrel is a little bit of a satin black, and then of course all the furniture is flat black. So the gun does have, on the front here, you'll see I have a flashlight mounted. The gun has spots here, small spots for M-LOK, which is kind of a nice feature because if you want to mount a flashlight like I did, all you have to do is get your, it only accepts a small, I think it's like a three slot M-LOK, but you can get that and put that on there and have a flashlight mounted. I did like being able to put the flashlight on. The one thing is here on the bottom, depending upon what you mount, if you plan on using the sling mounts here, which it does have, that's something else I should mention, is molded into the plastic is front and rear sling mounts. It would be nice if it had positions for QD, but it does not. But it does, so up here, depending upon what you mount, like if I mount this flashlight down here, you will cover up the rear sling mount. So I almost thought about putting a front grip on here, but for my needs, I just left it as is. So the stock does have the ability to add a couple accessories. One thing I will mention, originally when I was doing this, for anybody that's watched the channel, I was doing a tactical lever gun build. I had intentions of taking the Midwest Industries rail that was built to work on this rifle and put it on here. The one thing you're going to have to take care of is, if you intend to remove the front handguard, you're going to have to completely disassemble the gun. That's one of the things that I did find kind of annoying, is you're going to have to completely disassemble the gun to get down to the magazine tube to pull. You have to pull this handguard off the back. You can't undo it and pull it down or pull it off the front. Something to keep in mind. Plus there's a little tenon in here that you do have to get it to stay in place because it slides back and forth. It's dovetailed into the barrel, but again, that's aftermarket, so that's not really too big a deal when we're talking about the stock gun. So I do like the fact that you can put some M-LOK on there and you put some accessories. Like I said, they don't have the ability for QD sling mounts, but the one thing that's nice with the M-LOK here, you could get an M-LOK QD sling mount and install it there. For the back, on the other hand, you would either have to drill into the plastic or have your standard, but that's nice. So 17-inch barrel, and again, something they thought about was they threaded the barrel, which is really nice. I was looking at maybe someday getting a suppressor on there. Kind of nice having it pre-threaded for your muzzle device, whatever you decide to go with. Nice feature. Now we'll go back further on the gun. The sights are actually nice. Now I don't know how well I can show, but they're fiber optic, and I had no issue with the sight. The only problem I had was I'd wish, I don't know how well this shows up, see how the front is rounded? The only thing I wish they had done is I wish they used a flat front, but they use a rounded or a squared off front instead of the rounded, but small little nitpick there. So going back, the receiver is, of course, all black and is drilled and tapped for a rail. This is a Henry brand rail. I have a Holosun 510C on here. And now we kind of come to one of my other big problems. So this is the second of these rifles I've gotten. Both have had issues, and I'm getting into all that. But the first of these rifles I had, I went to put the rail on, and the rail was crooked whenever I would mount it, and I'll show a picture now. Alright, so as you can see from that picture, the rail mounted crooked, and I even went and purchased a second rail to try and figure out if it was either the rail messed up or it was the receiver. It turned out it was the receiver. So that was kind of a really big problem, because if you'd only ever intended on just running iron sights, you would have never noticed the issue. But again, this is kind of marketed as the tactical lever gun, and you know, tactical lever guns gotta have a red dot or some kind of scope. So I went with a red dot. And well, that's not going to work, because you can't have your rail crooked like that and then hope to have any kind of accuracy. So basically what happened was I had to send the rifle back. Now Henry, I will say, Henry sent me a label. I did have a little bit of issue, because in the very beginning they did try and tell me that it was because I didn't buy the rail directly from them, that I got it off Amazon, that oh well, you know, they don't cover it. And then when I finally got someone that knew what they were talking about, they're like, yeah, no, that's probably the receiver, and we will take care of that. So sent the gun back in and got another one, and now the rail mounts perfectly straight. So receiver, nice having the option to mount the rail and have a red dot on there. Okay, action on this gun. One thing that Henry has always been known for, right, is how smooth their actions are. And I will say, both Henrys that I had, the actions are pretty smooth. The first one was probably a little bit smoother than this one, but still fairly smooth. Which we come to another problem. Now this gun, again, this is a review that really goes back and forth, which is kind of sad. This gun, the problem is, I've noticed, is two of the screws are running themselves out. Now this one in particular, when I run the action, right, you see, it kind of moves with the action. That's not supposed to happen. It's not supposed to be moving. So basically what happens is it does slowly work its way out, because if I run it real quick and then back, it doesn't come back as much as it's turned its way out. And then actually firing and running the gun, this one too, which I can actually show a picture now of. Yeah, so that one too also worked its way out. That one was actually almost at a 1/4 inch before I was able to catch it, and thankfully I had my Swiss Army knife on me and was able to snug it back in, hoping that it was just something that hadn't been tightened at the factory, and then found out after I went and shot another like 10 or 20 rounds and went and checked it, and it had indeed come back out. So right now that's kind of yeah, that is, you know, the first rifle did not have that happen, but the second one does. And really for me that's a pretty big problem, because especially as a tactical working lever gun, you know, not just something that sits on the mantle and looks pretty, I can't have my gun disassembling itself while I'm shooting it. Like that's very bad. I mean, these two screws are kind of important. This one holds the lever in, and I believe this one is partially responsible for holding the trigger and everything in, and the hammer in. So I really can't have them falling out. But again, that was probably just because I got a lemon. I really don't think that's a common thing that happens, but I think this was just, that happened because of a lemon. Loading the gun. Loading the gun is nice, because one of the really nice features of this gun is loading gate. That is the big thing everybody's excited about with Henry's, and I'm a big fan of it. They do still give you the option for the tube. Really don't ever use it. Really no point to it. I mean, I guess I can understand them still having it, I have not. One of the things I was worried about was this going to fall out or something. It has not done that. As long as you secure it in there, you are just fine. But the only advantage I can see to having it that you can take that tube out is I know a lot of hunters that have said, well, now I can still quickly unload my rifle at the end of the trip. So I guess that's a nice feature to have. We kind of move into accuracy, and that's where, well, that's where we again take another turn down to the negative. Again, I mentioned how I've had two of these guns. The first one of these, when I took it to the range the first time, and well, the only time, sadly, I shot it with iron sights, and I got a really good group. I used some of my hand loads because I've worked up a really, really nice hand load that works in just about everything, and it worked in the first one of these, and I had no issues. So when I got this rifle, I again took it to the range, same hand load that I always use. It's just a 240 grain semi-wad cutter. Again, works in just about everything. And when I went and took it to the range, this was my result. Yeah, so basically what was happening was at 50 yards with ammunition that works in just about everything, common 240 grain, 44 mag, it keyholed like a mother. And I thought it was a fluke, so I tried some different, I had a couple different boxes of the stuff, so I tried different boxes of the same stuff, does the same thing. So the only thing I was wondering was, now this particular load, out of a 4-inch barrel, it does about just over 1,000 feet per second, so I'm guessing out of a 17-inch barrel, you were probably reaching about 1,400 feet per second. Again, I did not chronograph this gun to ever find out. So I was fairly certain it wasn't the ammo, but the only thing I thought is, well, somebody mentioned to me, well, maybe it's not going fast enough to stabilize, which I'm not that sounds great. I'm not a ballistics engineer when it comes to that kind of stuff. So I thought, okay, so I went and tried a different brand. I had some American Eagle 240 grain jacketed hollow point, and they're I believe doing about 1,300 feet per second out of whatever barrel length that they label on the box. I'm assuming it's going much faster out of a 17-inch barrel because I'm sure they chronographed it for a pistol barrel, and I did get better results. This was my group at 50 yards. Again, ignore this. This is the joy of a public range where someone shoots your target. But this was my group at 50 yards. Now that's not a terrible group, right? That's not that bad. But at 50 yards, again, I would kind of hope to do better because the gun was sitting in a rest, and this is the most accurate you're ever going to get out of the gun, especially since it's only at 50 yards. But that wasn't terrible. So the only thing I can think was maybe this, whatever's wrong with this particular gun, I know it could be the crown, it could be something in there. It seems to be ammo finicky. And I also, some people will say, well, just run that particular brand of ammo through it. No. Again, as a tactical, practical working lever gun, the whole concept of this thing is for it to work. It's not, I can't have it where it's ammo picky, and if I don't send the exact right ammo through it, it's going to keyhole and be inaccurate and be unusable. So sadly, again, I'm pretty sure that's just a factory defect. I really don't think that's an issue because, again, the first one of these two guns did not have that issue. So I'm guessing somewhere in the machining it is, the crown is messed up, or some of the rifling is messed up for whatever reason. And the one thing I will say is, at the filming of this video, I know there have been stories going around that factories have the QC has kind of gone down because of Corona and because they're trying to crank out stuff as fast as they can. So I'm kind of chalking some of it up to that. But at the end of the day, I mean, this is still a $800 rifle, and the fact that I've had two of them, and both of which have been basically had factory defects that make the rifle unusable. Again, crooked mounting rail, improperly machined, screws and all that, and a barrel that for whatever reason is not up to snuff. It's really a shame because the design is really cool, but I gotta give it a pass. Like this is a shame because it's a really cool design, but right now with how they're cranking them out, the fact that I got 2 in a row that were duds, and I know there's people out there that have these and love these, but for me to get 2 in a row that are duds, like it's kind of sadly a pass. But that's kind of my review of it. Again, really cool design, fun to shoot when it works. Definitely is kind of fun running it. Getting to pretend you're a tactical, practical operator with your tactical lever gun. I think every time I was at the range, I had people asking me about it, so it's definitely an attention grabber. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on the rifle. Again, it's kind of an up, down, sideways review, but yeah. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them, and have a good day.